All right, and we're COMP100, and it's week 3, lesson 3, part 1. And although we're lesson 3, part 1, and week 3, part 1, you guys have been here for the first time. So it means we have a lot of work to do over the next day or two. So today and then next week. Then next week I'll give you your assignment. Typically what I do with assignments is I give you at least a week to do them. You'll have several of them, like one maybe every other week or every week. In the beginning, there's also going to be a couple tests. So let me pull it up for you. And I've got all kinds of courses that I do. I teach here at Centennial as well as Georgian College in Barrie. That's what I do. I've been teaching now since, I guess it would have been 2011. Before that, I was in the industry at Bell Canada, and I've done all kinds of software stuff. My background is computer science, right? So, York actually, believe it or not. But I love games. So everything I do with you guys, I'm not sure if you're on the gaming stream or the software engineering side. I don't know which side you're on, right? Software engineering, I'm guessing. That's okay, because all my analogies are going to be with games. Everything I do, right? So, so you have to understand what I'm doing. There might be some parts of it that we talk about, and when we kind of have a conversation around it, it'll be around that. So just to give you an idea of how to do things and how to solve problems with C#. Okay, so let's take a look at, because it's kind of our first class together, let's take a look at our course outline a little bit. Maybe you've looked at it and stuff. It says 60 hours total course hours. Obviously, we're missing 8 of those hours right already, which is kind of a big disadvantage for you guys. So there's a little bit of cramming to do. And again, it could have been from, I guess, your scheduling or whatever. And a lot of it probably is not your fault. So I'm just going to do whatever I can to kind of put it all together for you. So again, we're going to talk about basics today a little bit. We're also going to try and get into the core of programming. The book is Joyce Farrell's 2010 Microsoft Visual C# 2012, actually is what it is, not 2010. However, what we're going to be doing is the computer in front of you, which I'd like you to log into right now, please, is with Visual Studio 2013, right? So if you have 2010, you have access to 2010. It's quite different from 2013. If you have a laptop, I recommend you bring it in, right? There's more control with your laptop that you'll have than if you'll have with the machine in front of you. There might be some differences that you'll see compared to what I'm going to be doing, right? Even though you might see that I'm working on a Mac, I'm going to be virtualizing everything on a PC. So here's my PC side, right? So I'm using Windows 8. Today they were announcing Windows 10, right? Looks pretty cool. With the HoloLens. I want to see that. I want to see. Yeah, it's all cool. I like it. I think it's a good thing. I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm not sure the time frame, but it's going to be probably soon. Was that fall? Yeah. So let's see what happens. I'm probably sure by Christmas they're going to have all the new computers out with Windows 10, right? My guess. Maybe even before. But anyways, I'm using Windows 8, and the thing we're going to be developing is how to kind of develop programs for using C#. But the stuff we're going to be learning over the course of the next little while, you can apply the same basic concepts to any programming language or any scripting language, right? So even though we're going to learn it in C#, C# is actually quite an advanced language to learn, right? I think it probably might be easier for you. If you're going to learn a language for the first time, if you've never learned any kind of programming, I'd probably start you with basic C, right? Like way back. We don't do that these days anymore. We usually do Java, we do C#, we do VB sometimes. I'm saying it's generally in the community, right? Sometimes we even learn on Python these days, like some kind of object-oriented language that that kind of gives you the basics for all the rest of the languages out there. Once you know how to learn, or once you learn how to speak one language, so to speak, syntax and nuances, you can apply the same skills to other languages. Okay, just like in real life, right? Like if you speak, I don't know, I'm saying, if you speak Italian and you know a little bit of French and Spanish, and maybe there's other languages that are very similar, like Portuguese, right? All those languages are Latin roots, so they're very similar. You might get smatterings of each of the other languages in the first one, and of course they're all Latin-based, so the grammar is going to be very similar. And same thing with Greek. I'm a Greek guy, right? and I can pick up different words from other languages. And the same token, when we learn things about C#, the same concepts, you're going to learn almost the same keywords in other languages that you'll be able to use, with some minor syntax. When I say syntax, the way things are written. We'll talk about that in a bit. So again, this is the book we're using. We're going to be using Visual Studio 2013. I'm going to be using Windows 8. You're going to be using the computer in front of you. If you've already logged in, that's good. From a coursework perspective, it shows us that assignments, quizzes, and all that kind of stuff, class participation, I'm going to give you a list next week that you'll kind of sign in every week. This week, I kind of give an amnesty of 1 week, usually, for people to come in. And then every other week, I'll be kind of marking you in. So that's all 30%. It shows us 30%. What I normally would do is the midterm test. Again, it's worth 30%. Sometimes what I do is I take 10% off that midterm test, and I put it into another test. So I kind of reduce the amount of the weight of that. And the same thing for your comprehensive final exam. 40% of your work on a final exam to me is heavy duty. And so what I do is I take 10% of that and put it into another test. So it's not as easy, it's not as difficult for you to pass, right? My goal for you guys is to get 100%, each one of you guys, right? If you guys can get 100%, that means you have to do all your work and all that kind of stuff that I ask you to do. My assignments are very comprehensive. Every single one of them has line by line, like places where you know where you're going to get your marks. So there's no question as where you're going to get your marks. You're not going to sit there and go, so Tom, did you mark me like just because you felt like it? I don't do that. Every line, I go through your work and I go, okay, so this met, and I kind of put it all together, and then you get your marks. And after I give you your assignment, you should be able to mark yourself. Look at it and go, okay, I did this. I think I did this. I might be able to get a mark here. Maybe I couldn't do this, so I'm going to lose a mark here, right? Then you'll be able to mark yourself within a certain accuracy. All right, so in terms of flow, let's take a look at what we missed. So weeks 1 and 2, really, if you think about it, they're like course overview stuff, which we're kind of going to do tonight. And then we're going to, we should have tried to conquer like chapter 1 as well of the book. We're going to probably go into chapter 2 today, right? So chapter 1 and chapter 2, we're going to try and hit some of that. I'd like to get into using data, right? Although not sure how much we're going to get done because there's a lot to cover in terms of just setup. Well, you guys are going to have to set up a little bit, right? And then, like I said, see how it says assignment 1 today, like the last couple of weeks, and then you're supposed to get assignment 2. Obviously, this assignment flow is going to change for you guys, and next week you'll get assignment 1. So you're going to be a little bit behind. Not a big deal. We'll catch up. Don't worry about that, right? Again, even if we have less assignments in general than normal or whatever, they're all going to be the marks are going to be redistributed among the assignments we do, right? So you're not going to lose anything here. In terms of flow, when you compare yourself to other people in the other course, once you start this one, you're going to be kind of incompatible to move to something else. Not that there's any room, and moving and changing right now is done, right? But we're going to be pacing ourselves a little differently than the others because we're behind. So just letting you know that, which means there's going to be a little bit more. There's going to be more of a push for me to get you guys going, right? So in some ways harder, other ways only 5 of us right now, maximum 7, better, right? It's lots of more attention. You guys can ask me questions, and I can sit down with you and we can work out the problems together as a team. With 5 of you, there's no issues. With 20 of you, it becomes challenging. With 40 of you, it becomes impossible, right? So I like the group size. This is the best group. If I could have 5 of you or 10 of you every single time, my job would be easy. And marking would be easier too, right? I can get your marking done. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. We're looking at chapter 1 and chapter 2 for today, if I can get some of that done. We may not be able to get it all done. We're going to skip chapter 3 because it's all about UI, right? So building a UI, user interface. And we're going to go straight to chapter 4 for weeks 5 and 6. So again, we're week 3. Week 4, we're still into using data. Maybe next week, again, I'll hit a little bit more of data, and I'll give you your first assignment, which will be due the week after, right? That's how usually we do it. And if you notice, there's like a pace of like every week or every couple weeks there's an assignment. I'm going to change that a little bit, like I said, and if you look at my outline for my, just how I have it here in my folders, week 1 should have been a summary and setup. week 2 should have been the intro, like chapter 1, and today you should be into your data, and you should have got your first assignment 1, right? So we're going to give it to you next week, into week 4, and hopefully we'll be able to get caught up, let's say by week 5 when you have your test. Let's see how it goes. I know it's a little bit challenging. If not, we'll move it to week 6. Not a big deal. Okay? I'm planning to have the midterm exam on week 7, and week 6 is the week before we go away, right? Because we do 1 week of kind of reading week. It's the week of Family Day that we're away, and this session, and then we're back. And when we come back, you get your midterm exam, right? That's how it goes. So week 7 is your midterm exam, and then we're into arrays and more advanced stuff in the second half. Worst case, if the flow is a little bit longer because I need to spend more time with you guys, it's not a problem. I can make midterm exam week 8, right? And we can push things around a little bit. And that's what may have to happen just because of the short time frames that we're working with. So bear with me. It's not that I don't want to cram things down your throat either. But we have to get all this done, and you have to be ready to go for your final exam, which is going to be very similar to all your colleagues in other courses, right? So let's do that. And if you notice, in terms of flow, the outline you can download from online. It's very similar, and it tells you each chapter pretty much of what we're doing. I'm going to probably hit using methods a little earlier if I can, but really it depends on how you guys absorb the material, right? And if you guys have issues, right? Because I want you guys, I mean, everything's got to be covered by the end, and I got to prepare you, because this one is, if you can't do this one, then programming 2, you can't even qualify for, right? And I believe after you do this part with me, this programming 1, programming 2 for you will be a breeze, right? My programming 2 class that I have in the mornings on Tuesday and Wednesday, there's quite a few people who still don't get a lot of stuff. So you're not going to have that problem because you got me. So I'm going to tell you, you're going to have all kinds of things that you know probably beyond your colleagues. Okay. And again, I think it's because of the numbers too. I'm not going to just toot my own horn here and say I'm fantastic. It's not about that. It's about we're a small group, and I think we can get a lot done. Okay. So that's kind of the course outline in a nutshell. So one of the kind of things, yeah. Yes.
I have a question. Out of all of the program or courses that we take in this program,
yep.
Which one do you think we're actually going to use the most? Do you think it's this one? I think it's this one.
Well, I think to me, C#, once you start programming, right, I think this is the fundamentals you're going to learn today, right? We're going to start off today. So this is like programming 101 equivalent, like today, right? So if you've never done programming, I can't make you into a programmer. I can't do that. I can guide you and tell you best practices. We can talk about these kind of things. Really, it's around how you apply yourself. If you apply yourself with me, I'll make you good. You'll leave programming 1 and you'll go into programming 2 with confidence, right? And if you go into programming 2 is where you really pick up the pieces that you need to do, let's say, anything from gaming to software development or whatever, right? So, because you get object-oriented programming in programming 2, right? And a bit of UI development. And then programming 3, if you go through the whole track, programming 1, 2, and 3, then you're well on your way to learning, C# and just languages in general. So I would say you're right. I think that once you start now, this is probably the most important piece.
Like this course.
Yeah.
All the courses.
Yeah. It's probably the most important piece for you. If you can't do this course, this is your core. If you can't do this, then you're...
The core.
Yeah. If you can't figure this out, then you shouldn't be a programmer. You shouldn't be a coder at all. You should be a developer. Yeah. Maybe it's not for you, right? But sometimes some people, like most of you, maybe want to be a developer, as an example. But maybe what might happen is you may use this course to understand software development and then become a manager. That's also possible. Or a project manager, quality assurance person, a unit tester. There's different roles in the software development field. It's not just one job, right? And remember something else. Sometimes we have these pie in the sky kind of feelings that I'm going to write the next awesome app and it's going to be the one that's going to make me $1 million, right? But most often than not, unless you're an independent developer, we modify apps that are out there and you're in a team, right? So sometimes, I don't know if there's been many apps that I've worked on that I've developed from the ground up, ever. It just doesn't happen for us because a lot of the apps are already written and we're modifying them. We're adding a plugin. We're adding a connection of some sort or another. We're modifying functionality. It's out there. We're going to change what it's doing, right? We're updating it. We're creating an update. Those kind of things. And so for some people, it's not as glamorized as, oh yeah, I was part of a software development team that created Windows. It's not like that, right? It's very rare. And most of us, unfortunately, even as software developers, it's rare that you come up with your own framework or your own API or something like that. It's rare. It's usually, like you said, it's on a team of people, right? But we're going to talk about best practices for all that stuff, not to deter you, right? I think, if you've got a dream about being a developer, a software developer, that's your dream. I'm going to try and get you that much closer this semester, right? And that's my job. My job is to make you ultra successful, not just to. I'm not just here to to rant or whatever or to mark you. It's not about that for me at all. Marks aren't important to me. It's what you know, what you come out of this with. If you come out of this and you don't understand what you're doing, right? To me, then I failed. Okay, so you got to do it, but I'm there with you. Now, if you attend, if you're here all the time, and you put your side of it in, I'll put my side of it in, and we'll both be successful. I can't, though, guarantee that you're going to learn everything because maybe it's not for you, right? I don't know. I've never worked with you guys before, but again, if even you can teach children how to program these days, right? So it's really about how much you put into it and if you're interested, right? Some of this stuff is dry. Some of it, when I talk about this stuff, you're going to be glazing, and when you are, put up your hand and say, okay, I think we need a break, and I'll take a break. I don't mind, right? I don't want you to glaze. I want you to get it, right? Okay. Beyond that little insightful talk, let's go into the next piece. So again, I want you to understand your environment a little bit more today. So I think let's start off with Visual Studio. So if you've logged in already, I want to kick off a brand new project. Have you guys all logged in?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go into, if you notice, I'm using Visual Studio 2013 Ultimate, right? One of the things I want you guys to do, and it's going to be your first little assignment for today, all right? And it's not an assignment, but more or less, I want you to do this so that way it's going to be something that we're going to use for all of your assignments going forward. I want you to sign up to GitHub, all right? So here I am with Visual Studio 2013, but everything that I'm going to do with you guys, it's going to be up on GitHub, right? So do you guys have GitHub? Do you know what GitHub is?
I got an email for it, but I deleted it.
You deleted it.
Oh, is it for like get access to the application?
What it is if I go to GitHub, it's actually quite important. If you go to github.com, right? When you first go there, actually, I'll go in as incognito, right? So I'll go my new incognito window here, and I go www.github.com, right? If I can actually spell properly.
Why do people make sites like that?
They're silly people. Got lots of time on their hands. All right, anyways, so if you go to GitHub, if you notice, you can sign up for free, right? And what you get here, and I'd like you to do that right now. When you sign up, you're going to get an account, right? The account is going to look like this. You're going to actually have you don't have to put a picture on there. But basically, you're going to have a site, an address like this: https://github.com/ and whatever your account name is going to be, right? This name. At the break, I'm going to create a Dropbox for you guys on eCentennial, MyCentennial, and I want you guys to use a text document to copy in this address into the text document and upload it as your first assignment. I'll give you 1% of your final mark for doing that. Okay? For doing that for me. So that's like 1 out of 100. You got 1. Oh, I got your attention now. I said if you create your GitHub account, so it's github.com/ whatever it's going to be your account name, you're going to create it. So go ahead and do that right now while we do that, while I'm waiting. And you can put in your information. You're going to need probably to put in your email address and so on. you're going to sign up for a free GitHub account. And when you do, you're going to get, and it could be kind of, you can create whatever name you want.
What company can you put the channel call it?
If you'd like. Anyway, at the end of the day, when you get your account, you're going to have an account that looks like this, right? So github.com/ whatever your account name is. My account name happens to be my last name. Not very many people have my last name. It's long and complicated. People don't know how to spell it. And so
How do you pronounce it?
Tsiliopoulos, T and the S together, Ts, and it's Iliopoulos, Tsiliopoulos. Yeah, it means vanguard, sentry in Greek. Okay, so so that's the that's what you do. And in here, if you actually finally, I'll wait till you guys do that. Are you guys set up?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It should be like 2 minutes. You guys all set up? Okay, so no, I'll wait till you guys do that. When you get in there, you'll see that there's a link that says repositories for your stuff. You have none, right? You might not have that at all. To create a new repository, you would go into this plus sign over here, right? And go new repository. And then you would add, you would create a friendly name for your repository based as a web name. Now for now, I don't want you to do this, but you could follow along with me. When I do my repositories, and a repo or repository is a place where we're going to store all of our files, all of our example files that I'm going to use. So this is a place where you can store your files, right, as we go. And you can also look at my files, because every time we create a repository, a place to store our files in the cloud, this is what we're doing here, right? It's a public repository, which means your repositories, I can look at them, and you can look at other people's repositories, and you can also look at mine, right? So if you look at my repository, you'll see all the different files that I have for your course. So COMP100, you'll see COMP100 lesson 3. That's what I'm going to put today, right? So in my case, I'm going to name that COMP100, right? And it's going to be called lesson 3, right? And this is where I'm going to keep my files. If I click create repository, now there's 2 different options here. I can do public or private, right? I can't do private unless I subscribe to it and pay, right? There is an educational way of doing this. If you sign up for an educational account or change your account to an educational account, I think you get 1 free repository, private repository. We don't need it. We don't need to do that because we're not going to create the next greatest app during the course of the time we're together. And it's okay. Don't worry about people copying from your files because everything you do is already done on the internet. So don't worry about that right now. All my tests are going to be open book. Okay, it's not going to be anything that's crazy. And assignments, of course, are going to be individual for the most part. There might be one. We'll see how it goes. That's something that you kind of work with as a team. We'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm going to create a public repository and click on this create repository piece here. Again, if you missed this, you can always look at the videos, and I'm going to share the playlist with you so you know where it is. You can watch videos.
Right now, it's recording your voice.
Oh yeah, and record your voice too.
Very cool.
So here it is. So I've got my repository here that I created. And I've got this URL or URI. That's what it's called. I'm going to kind of copy this thing because I'm going to need it in a second. Now you don't have to do this, but we're going to create a new project in Visual Studio, and your Visual Studio will look like this too, right? You're going to click New Project. Follow me now. So part of it, what we're going to learn part of it we're going to learn C#. Part of it is we're going to learn Visual Studio, right? The IDE that we're working with. So Visual C# is what we're going to access up here. So if you notice, there's a bunch of different languages. You might have a language preference when you first start Visual Studio. If you've never started it before, it might say, which language do you want? Choose C#. That'll set your Visual Studio up for, what was that? You're lost? I'll go back. Look. So I'm going to start Visual Studio again from scratch. Taking time? No problem. So again, I go into Visual Studio. Don't worry about being lost. And here's my Visual Studio. When it kicks off, I got this start page. Do you got the start page? You don't know where it is? Okay, we'll take a break. Let me. I'll pause the movie right now. I'll create a movie right now. I'll create a pause. I'll go around and help you guys out. Start. Okay, because we need to get there right now. So I'm just going to do that.